Dear sisters and Dhamma friends, today is our third day in the retreat, and we are going to have the second question and answer session. I'm not going to give any introduction because all of us now know what is happening. So I invite Sunil to present the written questions. Meanwhile, if there are any other questions to be presented to the discussion, cordially invited. So to start the session, Sunil may present the written questions.
Venerable Bhante, what is the difference between equanimity, upekha and adukkhama sukha? In concentration meditation, when we reach fourth jhana, our mind is in equanimity condition. In insight meditation, after we reach the state where we can't feel breathing, it results in adukkhama sukha. As per my understanding or experience, both these states are the same. Am I correct in this interpretation?
Adukkhama sukha is talking in terms of feelings, but upekha is a generic term. It is related to the feeling, perception, volitional activities, anything. So you can say upekha is a broader, and adukkhama sukha is with respect to feelings. This is the word meaning, etymologically. But when you are studying Potthapada Sutta, they are, with respect to the perception, the Buddha mentioned the third jhana as upekha sukha, sukkuma satcha sanya. In the third jhana, you develop kind of a very subtle perception known as upekha sukha. That particular person has unshaky mind, equanimous mind, and sukha, and the pleasure. But when it is developed in the fourth jhana, it says adukkhama sukha, sukkuma satcha sanya. Still refined into the adukkhama sukha. So these two words indicating there's nuances, there's shades of meaning. So that means adukkhama sukha is much refined than the upekha, specifically from the perception point of view. So otherwise, in general terms, both of them we can consider as synonyms, even though there are little differences in the shades of meaning.
Venerable Bhante, in what context and when did the Lord Buddha explain the four elements, Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo? And when were the two additional elements, Akasa and Vijnana, added on? And in what context were they included?
The question is not much practical. We have taken the Dhathu Vibhanga Sutta. There the Buddha is explaining a person means nothing but 6 elements. And when you go into this detail, what does it mean by, then itemize what are the 6. And this is tangible, materialistic 4. There is a presence of the matter. And the absence of the matter is known as akasa, the space. And the vijnana is the one discriminate matter, antimatter, nama and rupa. So this is the context. Dhathu Vibhanga Sutta is a very good place where Buddha by himself, his own initiative, he teaches. There are a lot of other incidences in the Tripitaka, the same thing presented in the different contexts. So this is one of the things, therefore I can't really understand what is the idea behind this question. And if it is not well answered, the person concerned may raise the question in a refined manner. Yes, we can go ahead.
Most Venerable Bhante, would you please tell us what is Khanika Samadhi? What is the Vipassana Samadhi that comes under Panchabala Saddha? Panchabala Saddha Virya Sati Samadhi Panya. That's the question number 1.
So for that I asked to just develop equanimity. The first question, I have to deliver talks, 14 talks. So by the time you have to just wait and see. I have my own orders, so till that you have to have upekka, you have to have adukkama sukha vedana, all the kind of things you have to just put into practice. I have to remember these questions when I am giving a talk. So it will be well harmonized to the content of the talk rather than question and answer. So we are saving the time and jump into the next part of the question.
What is the samatha samadhi? Is it different from vipassana samadhi?
Still the same question, same answer.
The next question is, how does one cultivate and maintain?
We didn't hear you.
How does one cultivate and maintain abundant sati?
So these are the questions you have to just wait and see. Because we are just only 2 talks. So these are rather related to the theory. Of course, it is my duty to harmonize with the day-to-day practice. And maybe today, tomorrow talks we may be taking by, I will request Sunil to keep that question reserved so that I can take it as a reference point for when I am preparing for talks.
Venerable Sir, sometimes when the breath becomes subtle, I experience stretching of skin, heat patches around my earlobes, shaking and hardness. How should I observe? Why should I observe these manifestations? Sometimes I experience acute pain in the abdomen and feel as if a tight rope is encircling me. Are these manifestations of the elements?
You are still very weak to speak to the mic. Because sometimes it is bursting, sometimes not consistent, so it's a training to the, how do you call the announcer. You have to repeat the same question now. Keep the equal distance and listen to the sound of the mic, the speaker, then only you can monitor yourself. It's a hard task.
Yeah, that was the last question.
So you may repeat it.
Sometimes when the breath becomes subtle, I experience stretching of skin, heat patches around my earlobes, shaking and hardness. How should I observe these manifestations? Sometimes I experience acute pain in the abdomen and feel as if a tight rope is encircling me. Are these manifestations of ailments?
So yesterday, I exactly can't remember, day before, we were talking about when you are observing the breath, sounds can happen, pain can happen, thinking can happen. Whenever such a thing happens, as far as you have the connection with the breath, that means breath as the primary object, sometimes these secondary objects like this pains or hardness or cold bubbles, heat bubbles, tightening of the skin and kind of thing, appear like a background or background scenery. Sometimes they appear foreground and the breath become background. Sometimes they appear in the parallel. So that means, if you can observe all the 3, that means that you are in the full panorama, and you have to develop equanimity for all the 3 combinations. I am repeating, only the breath you can see, and sometimes the breath with this kind of a stiffness, heat bubble, cold bubbles, and wavering, shaking and kind of thing. They are in the background, but the breath is in the foreground. And if it is so, I think no question. Yet another situation is these distractions, so-called secondary objects are in the foreground and the breath is it has taken a back seat. And there question can happen. Sometimes you can see they are both in the same distance, appearing like a number of actors in the same stage, and they are what to do. At last, so theoretical maximum is you must have the equal attitude to the both, all the 3 combinations. So, Don't expect this is better, this is good, this is good, this is bad, this is better. All of them are naturally manifesting things. Only the value given by your valuation, your judgment, your involvement and reaction. So therefore at the beginning definitely question happened because the yogi expect there should not have any distractions. And if at all distraction must be in the background, the main object must be in the foreground. It is just a mere dream. It is just a mere expectation, but under very one's nose, one can understand sometimes the distraction in the foreground and the primary object can be background. That is a reality. That is not due to your intention. It is the way it happens. And observe, it's in the tupsi-turvi, different combination, exactly the same actors, but in a different episode. And likewise it is going on. When and where these distractions are completely cutting you off from the primary object, then this is it is a fair question. If it is not so, let this happen, see it in 1001 times, so that you will not see any value judgment, which must be foreground, which must be background. Your mere duty is observe it as it is and report it without prejudgmental ideas, premeditated value judgment, so that you can see they are changing, the intensity of the object changing, intensity of the secondary object changing, they are attractive or liking and dislikings are changing. Try to keep as much as possible the neutral observer state than a judgment. You are just giving a commentary when the cricket is going on. You are not the umpire. You are just telling what is happening. You have no rights to give the favoritism to the home team. If it is so, you are not a good commentator. Or if you are coming from the visiting team and you are going to give favoritism to the visiting team, then that is also you are not qualified to give good commentator. So your duty is to observe as much as possible. Of course, you have already bought your value judgment, likings and disliking. Observe that also if possible. I am very happy if the object is foreground and the secondary object is background. So you can see if that is happening, liking happens. When the object is background and the distractions are in foreground, dislike can happen. So you can see what is happening and shadowy, what is your impressions, your value judgment. So unless otherwise you have very open-minded approach, you can't see these different layers it is working. So therefore it is already observed. What I am explaining is to do it without a judgmental kind of attitude, without or in the sense unassuming way. Just express what is there. That is what you call see things as they are. So see things as they are happened, but now ask what must be my stand. Whenever you are going to take a stand, you get committed. You have to be a neutral observer. So this is, one can say, ask in another way, am I correct in my meditation, or am I going forward, or am I in the samatha side or vipassana side? So these are the way the mind is proliferating with doubts. So it is not a mistake of that particular person. Asking also not a mistake. So you have to understand, still the observation is going on. See it as the thing happen in their own perspective. Don't have any expectation, don't have any rejection of what is happening. So that is the way you try to get a distance from the thing happens. So that is the training in Vipassana we are doing. So these things are quite natural. Whenever mind is about to take leave from the Indriya Patipadda Vijnana, that is consciousness related with the senses. They are hard and fast and concrete, but when you are leaving it, when it is going into the deeper layers, you lose orientation. Which one to be oriented? So let that happen. Understand that as a natural state. Explain as it happens rather than the value judgment. So that is the thing I thought of adding to this question. So that's all the written questions. So if, we have more than 30 minutes. If there are any other questions to the audience, welcome.
Bhante, in relation to that question, sometimes I feel that when this dichotomy is there, you don't know whether to go to the secondary or primary object, and after some time, the mind gets bored and then thinking happens. How does one, what does one do in that situation?
Do you think it is because of the uncertainty what to do sharply, that is why it is leading to jumping off and it is leading to thinking?
I'm not sure.
So
but I know that thoughts come then.
Yeah, we don't know is it a consequence of this or it's a completely different phenomenon. Yeah. But beforehand we can see in the same, the tapestry, lot of things are happening. But what you expect is the primary object to be prominent and foreground. But instead, some other things happen, but they are not really distracting and disturbing the primary object, but they are also playing their own role. Sometimes the foreground, in the background. So you have to observe as it is, even though in the theoretical maximum we expect only the primary object to be, that is, we can't expect throughout the time. Naturally, other objects also going to come, whether they are in the foreground or background, as far as you have the connection to the primary object, this is a reality, this is not a concept. This is not a dream. This is not a mind-made thing. The object is the one, the whetstone, for you to verify, I am not dreaming. And on top of that, you can say, this is the reality happening one's very knows. So don't edit, don't subtract, just see as it is. And sometimes it may lead you to the boredom. Because when and where we are manipulating something, when and where we are steering something, our motivation is well fed. Whenever we let the phenomena to take place by its own accord, our interest, our motivation reduces, leading to boredom, leading to monotony, and then thoughts can happen. And when the thought happens, that's the third dimension. The object is there, pain is there, thought is there. And then you have still a subtle balance, how to cope up with. Now three perspectives. And when it's going there, the likings and disliking can come and interfere things. Likewise, slowly it is going back to diversification. But even then, if you are, observe in a distance or passive way, you can still comment as if you are commenting on someone else's phenomena. You don't claim this is me, this is happening, something insulting me or praising me. No such a kind of thing. You can just explain what is happening. So if it is so, that is the way we get a distance from, we get the emancipation from the very phenomena. Otherwise you are getting involved, getting committed. So whenever the commitment and involvement there, interest is there. As far as you are not get committed, as far as you are observed, see them in the passive way, the monotony, boredom can come in. So later, you can predict, if I want to be like that, next is nothing but the boredom. Next going to happen is nothing but the monotonies. Next thing is nothing but the sleepiness. So you can expect or you can be prepared for the forthcoming sloth and all, or boredom. So that is why you master it. For that, only one method, trial and error method. There is no hard and fast rule to eradicate it. You can't do away with it also, but as much as you are applying to it, there's a kind of a mastery, kind of a situation coming under control happens. So later you can understand they are still coming, but you can predict. Now I am enthusiastic because there's a desire. Now it's no enthusiasm because no desire, you are passively observing it. So that is happening in the outdoor also, outside the meditation also. As far as you are taking interest on one particular subject, you can keep on cope up with it. If you are disinterested with that, you will be thrown away. You feel like kicked off. You feel like outcasted. You feel like neglected. But the Buddha says that is the way we can have our own time. But from the social value, you have been outcasted, you have been kicked off. But your solitude, your freedom, and your peace of mind is there. So, depends on which perspective you are looking at. Looking from the social point of view or from the Buddha's point of view. So, this is the micro level. This is exactly happening in the society at large, in the macro level. So, we can have only one variable. It's a kind of theoretical maximum. Often we have a number of variables. Under such circumstances, how to keep the priority. The rule of thumb is, as far as you have the connection with the primary object, it is a reality. It's something you can verify, but other variables are not under your control, but under your observation, under your surveillance, under your vigilance, under your diligence. So much so you are the master.
My question is elements before explaining. And in my meditation, when the breath becomes subtle, and then during these days, the four elements, especially mostly fire element, I can feel a lot, and then it's a burning sort of feeling, and it's bursting sort of feeling, and it's unbearable, and sometimes it's during meditation, but sometimes even day-to-day life, and sometimes in walking as well. And even though I see as it is, so it's unbearable sort of condition. So I try to be in the breath, but in the meditation I can't find it. And then I feel sort of merging with something, and then it's getting harder, and I am in the loss. Can you please, I don't know.
I got bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
When I am giving the answer, you can understand whether I got the question first.
Yeah.
The unbearability, now you verily observe, your mind, is it going to say it is due to meditation or it's a natural phenomenon?
It's a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, if it is...
I'm in a very, very...
Relax. So that is why you emphasized to say this is unbearable. Yeah. So this unbearability, from the healthy point of view, whenever you are meditating, your faculties become much refined. So therefore amplification going to happen. So early subtle sounds appear like a very disturbing level. Subtle pains appear like multiplied, amplified. And thoughts also become very panoramic and very lucid. So that does not indicate they are aggravated, they are in the virulent form, but your subtlety, your sensitivity of the mind increases. So if that is happening, even the commentators expect it never go unbearable. Because you know it is due to your sensitivity they come. They are natural thing. At the time you are neglected, you are ignorant, you are negligent, but they are now diligent. Due to the diligence they come. If it is so, you feel it is dramatic, you feel unexpected, you feel beyond control, but unbearability never happens, if that is the case. If the unbearability happens, it must be beyond meditation also. So therefore, more and more you are to put the thing under magnifying glass, more and more increase the magnitude, the panoramic view is going to give a different perspective. But these perspectives never become unbearable if you go prepared. So therefore you have to judge yourself, is it something within meditation or due to meditation or beyond meditation and outside the meditation. So it won't take much time. You can understand it and you have to expect more and more. The second aspect I would like to brought to that picture is when and where you are understanding the first noble truth, truth of suffering, it is being manifested as torturing and burning. That torturing and burning is like a friction. Everywhere, whether you are in your deep sleep, whether you are sitting, standing, lying down, wherever maybe this friction is there. That is what we call being. So that just bhava or being manifested that kind of a friction. We can say, Venerable Sariputta verily says, it's a burning, it's a torturing. It's a kind of a manifestation of many variables, not a single variable. And its facet is always changing. So these are the four characteristics: burning, torturing, due to many variables, and facet is always changing. So that is, whether you meditate or not, that is the situation. In the meditation, you remove all the other intentional suffering, intentional agitation, intentional manifestation, and go back to the rock bottom. And you see still the torturing is there. Still the burning is there. It is bearable, unbearable type, but no defilements. You know you reach it through your discipline. So therefore these two reasons, the Buddha says, take these two reasons such as lack of defilements, and you reach it through the discipline, make it a point to be glad. You must try to find a reason to be glad under any circumstance. You try to be a Pollyanna. Pollyanna means that you find reason to be glad under any circumstances. There it is, of course, you are talking about torturing. You are talking about burning. You are talking about ungovernability. You are talking about the thing happened due to many variables. But you know, these are unavoidable, given fact. On top of that, your foolishness, your desire makes so much of agony. Due to discipline, these are removed, you are come to the rock bottom. Reduced to the bare minimum, and then Buddha says, of course this is a torturing and suffering, but put a different name. This is the mindfulness, this is clear comprehension, this is joy, this is rapture, this is happiness. So wherever you go now, you can have it. Not only in sitting, not only in walking. Wherever you go, you can do. And later you will understand it is not you earn by meditation, that was the endowment from as a birthright. But due to our foolishness, we add unwanted torturing upon that, so therefore we can't understand what is natural and what is manifested, what is conscious made. So your discipline is in order to get rid of as much as possible intentional activities, intentional friction, internal complications, and even then you are going and hit with the rock bottom, there also you have this torturing and burning nature. But that burning and torturing is equal to even to the Buddha, even to the Arahant, even to the enlightened being, even to the other people. But other people put more complication upon that, so they never see the rock bottom. But even if you see the rock bottom, it is nothing but the first noble truth of suffering. You can't be proud of. But Buddha says, try to find a reason to be glad, even under such circumstances. So you come dumbbound. How can you ask someone to come and meditate? Because ultimately he or she has to realize the torturing, everlasting torturing nature. Everlasting burning nature. And only the trick is disclaim it. Because it is not happening due to your control. It is not your agenda. This is no intention. So understand, why should I claim such a torturing and burning nature as me? Mine. Myself. Moment to disclaim it, dissolve it, kind of psychological happiness. Other people on top of that creating so much of agony, frustration, panic, all the kind of thing. Due to my discipline, I reduce all the kind of intentional thing, volitional thing, all the fabrication. But even then I am ready, I am contented to accept this rock bottom. It's also kind of a torturing. It's a kind of a burning nature, but it never go unbearable only if you go prepared. If you expect 100% lack of friction, lack of suffering, then it is not possible in this life. That is what you call parinibbana. The last step, once you passed away, that is also finished. Till you live, you have to put up with this rock bottom. You have to put up with this torturing and burning nature. But it is fairly bearable. I don't know whether I got the question, but this is the answer I thought of.
Venerable, the question that Sunil read out about the elements a little while ago, it seemed to separate, the manifestation seemed to separate amongst the elements. But sometimes in your Dhamma talk, you talk about an oceanic state, a boundaryless state. Is that when the elements and the observation and the manifestation merge? As in you can experience the heat patches alongside the stretching, alongside the stiffness or the hardness and the tension, or is it a more evolved state than that?
Manifestation, the term you used, I would like to represent it as a volitional activity, sankhara. So, in order to go to the rock bottom, you are removing layer by layer, materiality, feeling, perception and the manifestations. And then the vijnana can see, there is a part, kind of a torturing and nature, we call myself. There is a right round in the universal, also there is a torturing and burning. And the vijnana try to still say this my, so-called my, mine, myself torturing is special. And it is extraordinary life. So when you are telling more and more extraordinary, more and more you suffer. So Buddha says external suffering or external torturing, burning, and you so-called your torturing and suffering, no difference. So why should you claim it? You disclaim it. Once you disclaim, it is no more your baby. You are not responsible. You are not to maintain it. You can say, this is there. Why should I claim it? If I am at all I am claiming suffering. So why should I claim? So disclaimer, make a psychological release. Phenomena is happening. If at all I am claiming a suffering. I am claiming a torturing. I am claiming a burning. And it is multiple variables. And it is beyond my control. So verily one can say, why not claim? Oh, of course you can claim, you are claiming a suffering. So Buddha says, I recommend you prescribe a disclaimer. Disavow. So even if you disclaim it, they keep on happening, but you are not hugging it as telling it is my suffering. It is not my torturing. It is not my burning. Therefore, it is bearable and not a pleasant thing. Therefore, it is called first truth. It is universal. Whether you are meditator or not, whether you are a Buddhist or not, whether you know or not, this torturing is torturing. You can't paint a colorful picture because this is the reality. So therefore, when you can't understand the creative part, any creative part of the Buddha's teaching, because he says anything arising that is suffering, anything disappearing that is suffering. So therefore, this disclaimer is the anatta-lakkhana. To call this is not me, this is not mine, this is not myself. But it is not merely talking while you are in the sensuous pleasure. Now you have removed them, gradually come to the rock bottom, and then at the last level you kick it with the psychological kick, not the physical one. You disclaim the bare minimum, the precipitation, you disclaim this is not me, this is not mine. So that is what yesterday towards the last part of the talk I tried to mention. In the Anidya Sutta, the Buddha says, the sensuous pleasure is full of go-go show, full of rock dance, full of kind of thing. And this perception on the senses is classic kind of music, but still music. So then you come to the materiality. Materiality is Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vaya. Then you come to know it is more common to the human being than it is my Patavi, my Tejo, my Vayu. And once that is done away with, and then this perception on that arises, it is also like a shadow. It's also like a worn-out skin of a reptile. So up to that point, you have to keep on practicing, and you are supposed to ask a question. Once you reduce up to that level, still worth it calling it is me, it is mine, it is myself. You can't do that game when you are in the sensuous pleasure. So first by meditation, you reduce up to the bare minimum, and then at the bare minimum, you do a contemplation. This is not me, this is not mine, this is not myself. So therefore, there's a part and parcel of the manipulations are there as far as the volitional activities are there. There is so kaya sankhara, vachi sankhara, mano sankhara. So even volitional activities stopped or restrained or controlled, as far as the person is living, unintentional lot of activities are going on. That is called asampajana kaya sankhara, asampajana vachi sankhara, asampajana mano sankhara. Once you remove the volitional, involved thing only, you can see the dust under the carpet. And when you come up to that, that is also as if someone is living there. Morning in the discussion also I mentioned, when you touch a tail of a gecko, it breaks the tail and run. Tail will jerk in such a way as if there's a life is there, as if like a animal. It is shaking more than the gecko itself. But it is jerking not with consciousness. Likewise, when you remove everything, still asampajana part is there. So that is also torturing. That's also burning. With no point of claiming. And you are claiming that suffering, you disclaim it. So that fairly that has been explained in the Anajasappaya Sutta. So theoretically you can't go into that. And even if you practice, if you can't look the situation with that perspective, the way the Buddha is teaching, still you will keep on telling theoretical 100% reduction of torturing and suffering. Impossible. It can happen only at the Parinibbana, at the deathbed. Then onward it is yours. As far as you are living, the torturing and this thing is there, and only you can be happy. It is not my brainchild. It is happening with not my intention, without my involvement. So you withdraw your involvement, more and more you withdraw, you find less and less it becomes defiled. So these are the only two characters. You reach it by discipline, more and more you discipline, less and less defilements. Even this torturing is there, the Buddha now says, make a reason to be glad, because you are not involved. There is something happening, so disclaim it. Would you mind to rephrase the question again?
The question, what I was hearing was also, there was a question from a yogi saying that they experienced the manifestations of the elements in the practice, the stretching, the hardness. They described as if there was a rope tightening them, etc. In your Dhamma talk, Venerable Sir, you talk about an oceanic state where there are no boundaries and the merging of the elements. In that description, there was a separation between the elements. It appeared anyway from the description, what the yogi is saying. I'm wondering when you talk about the oceanic state, and when you can see all the elements sort of appearing in your practice, like a fruit salad, as you say, from time to time, where you could experience some heat patches, some stretching, some shaking, etc. But it's not separate. It's all kind of ad hoc, intermittent. It's appearing. Is that the state you mean by your oceanic boundaryless state in terms of the elements?
Yeah, let me explain one part. That particular yogi says, while this stretching, heat, cold happen, the breath also happening. So breath also indicate elements, nothing but elements. But that particular yogi still understand breath is my element. The other things I don't know. Other thing I can't claim. Then there's another problem. Because the breath recognized as me, as mine, as myself. And the heat, cold, stiffness, tension, movement, I feel like a distraction. So, do you think the element which is appearing in the breath knows that particular idiot understand myself as his or her? Do you know that stiffness, tension as the element understand they are disclaiming me? No. Elements-wise, they are the same. So therefore, whenever you develop the equanimity, pure breath with this manifestation foreground, breath background, breath foreground, manifestation background, everything equanimity, that means oceanic. Everything, because with this so-called breath, we call breath, but it's also manifestation of elements. Stiffness, tension, movements, still the distance. But our mind still recognize something internal, something external, something mine, something not me like. So much so, you are in sectarianism. So much so, you are in recognition. So much so, you have choice. The moment, of course, through discipline, and then breath also means elements. So the complaint also elements, secondary object also element. So moment to become equanimous to the all, elements become elements. You are not worrying, you are not taking this as something to be worried. The elements become elements, you don't worry about them. Then mind gets liberated for that very moment, wherever you become equanimous. Buddha says it is possible. Yogi says, no, how can it be possible? Because I am supposed to look only at the breath. It is elements are gate crashers, they come and distract, so what can I do? That question also valid. So we can answer it from the philosophical point of view, we can answer this question from the discipline point of view, we can answer this point from the elements point of view. So different people raise questions from the different point of views.
Venerable Sir, in the context of what we've been talking about today, then is it okay to just let go of the breath?
Yeah.
And just let whatever comes and goes, just let it come and go?
So you are...
And then are we meditating?
1 minute. You can't let go of breath. Breath is letting, already in the process of letting go. It is going. It is none of your business.
We are supposed to be meditating on the breath.
Yeah. You know what is the purpose? To get rid of the sensuous pleasure and its perception. That is the purpose of taking a matter. Breath as a matter. Now as far as you are in the breath, you know you are not in the sensuous pleasure. You are not in that perception also, that not with 5 intentions. So the breath has served the purpose. Now it is in the retiring process, it is disappearing. When it disappears, it leaves kind of shadows. That is to say, mental imagination. Whether I am in the real breath or is it a thinking I am breathing. Breath is completely subtle. And all of a sudden sounds happen, you don't know whether it is a real sound or mind-made sound. Some visual objects can happen, light, perception or lightness, you don't know whether it is reality or not. But still the lingering, disappearing breath is there. You take the breath as a whetstone in order to verify whether it's a dream or not, but the breath you can verify. Other things start to proliferate there. So there also you just let it happen, they are rising to pass away. So when that happens, the meditator and the meditation both disappear. You are not happy with that.
The last phrase.
The meditator and the meditation both disappear, but kind of experience remains. You are merging into the nature. You are not manipulating. You are not monitoring, you are not expecting, you are not rejecting. Just that is called oceanic. You are part and parcel of the nature.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is least frictional place. You are in the within the comfort zone. And how long you can maintain it? As far as you are doing nothing, you can maintain it. Anything you do, you disturb it. So it is called just being. It's the art of being. And that is the only moment you are living. All the other time you are acting. You are in a Rangapanata Mogadya. You are posing in front of a camera. At that time you are just, things are happening its own accord, universal law, but still the Buddha says you have your thrill because you are still, you can observe it. You can observe without manipulating, without monitoring, without steering, and that is what it happens till our age, up to the age 6. But up to the age 6 you can't talk. You don't know how pure you are, so it is no use. But now we are coming out of this shit, so then only we can understand it is how pure. Because it is coming free of charge. It is coming out of nothing, doing nothing, and the Buddha's radiance, the Dhamma, everything going to be living. Dhamma start to live, because everything happened according to the law of nature. Law of the nature, and you try your best not to do anything, but to be full vigilant, full diligent, full observant. So in my jargon, I would say I try to be on the conveyor belt. The belt will take and do the processing, everything. You have to just sit on the belt. Belt is not going through this thing, but if you are going to dance upon the belt, you will be kicked off. Just be like a passive product. Ultimately, it will push off from the factory with the price tag. This is art of doing nothing.
Most Venerable Sir, yesterday I only asked that question on this concentration meditation. So today I'm ready for any cross-examination actually. You wanted to ask questions, but yesterday I didn't respond actually. That was because there were interviewees, they wanted to really, share their experience and get your guidance, because in my case, actually I didn't expect the questions, session yesterday. I wanted this today. And shall I repeat the question?
Yes,
yeah.
Please.
It's basically, I had been doing this concentration meditation. That is actually using, starting with Anapanasati. And then to determine because at the end of the Anapanasati, where, where you can't feel the breath. And then we determine, to go to the next stage, where it is this priti or happiness state. And then from priti, then to sukha, and from sukha to upekha ekagrata. And my question is actually, what I used to do was basically after coming to that level, to contemplate on, let's say, that is around 6 elements, 6 senses that we have. One example, let's say if it is I, so I used to contemplate it is just a matter, and Anitya Dukkha Anatma, and then external object also the same, then the Chakku Viññāna also the same, then whatever is arising from Chakku Viññāna, that is Phassa Vedana Saññā Saṅkhāra, also Anitya Dukkha Anatma, I used to contemplate that. That is what I used to do. And then, of course, after listening to your Dhamma talks, so what I did was like after reaching that the equanimity state or the fourth state, then I thought, I will just be there, without contemplating anything. So my question is actually, is it a right thing that I'm doing? Because I initially I got guidance, to contemplate, but on my own I took a decision that without contemplating, it is better for me to just be there and let anything happen. So, am I doing the right thing now? That is the question that I have.
Yeah, that definitely from my point of view, I would say whatever you understand without contemplation is better than you understand with contemplation. With contemplation is second hand, recondition. But without contemplation, original, for my judgment. The second thing is that whenever the breath becomes subtle, your determination to the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, also questionable. Because some teachers, it says that whenever the mind comes ready, by determination you can go into that due to your the solemn statement. But even then, it has to be mastered with Vashita, and it's a long process. It is like preparing a bucket with the normal iron plates, and then you have to galvanize the same, otherwise the rusting can take place. So if anything you do, you have to reinforce it. The reinforcement is for the protection. The product is something, and the protection and the galvanizing reinforcement is different. So in your way, there is no such a galvanizing effect. So it may be mind-made or mind conditioning or brainwashing. So as far as you are in the brainwashing, you are double positive. When in unforeseeable thing happen, and if this is determination is not going to work, you are in double trouble. The trouble, and top of that, so far you have believed something wrong. So therefore, that is also to be verified. But the positive thing, good thing is that you have done enough meditation on breath and know different phases of the breath. The gross part, the subtle part, the subtlest part. So when and where you come to the subtlest, you must try to have enough vigilance, enough diligence, just to look at it without giving any determination, even on the samatha side. And see how far you can maintain it. And then what happens is, often after a certain amount of magnetic, piece of time with peace of mind, again the jerks can happen, other impingement can come, and your concentration is scattered, and you will be little agitated. And that moment, if you still can be mindful, you can understand breath is the object of mindfulness, object of meditation, and you develop mindfulness, and at the end of the breath also, you are mindful, no breath, but still the mindfulness is there, you feel peace of mind. And then the peace of mind becomes your object of meditation, and that's scattered off, and again the mindfulness can maintain, you are completely scattered, disturbed, agitated, but still you are mindful. And then if you continue, that very agitation will be object of meditation, again the calmness can happen. Again agitation can happen. Again calmness can happen. Again agitation happen, then you have to develop agitation and calmness is nothing but the two sides of the same coin. Otherwise, if you are a samatha-oriented person, you will be very happy, calmness. You will be hating and you will be developing frustration to the agitation. But if you sit longer and see, they are reciprocal each other. If you become calm, end is agitation. Still, if you are mindful on the agitation, end is calmness. And ultimately, they are going to have short cycles, and you can see certain amount of agitation and certain amount of calmness is each and every thought moment. So that is, you are not giving any phases, recognizing as samatha and vipassana. You let the unwinding process under the light of mindfulness.
I think maybe I experienced maybe something like that actually, because like without, going into those different states, like when I basically just was in this breath and where, I couldn't see any kind of a breath, the end of the breath. And then when I was there in that way, actually, I used to get this, thoughts in the sense like very, very fast. I couldn't really recognize, what it is actually. Sometimes, like, if you look at, it's like certain things I know, certain things I don't know, and also like whatever comes I cannot remember. And once actually, I don't know, like I got a situation like even without, not inside meditation, but like when I was going to sleep, I got something like that, like thought used to come at a very fast pace. And then I thought that I was going mad actually.
Now you think you are not.
I am, yes, but maybe not acceptable way. Maybe yes, madness is there, but it is accepted in the society. But it is beyond that, so I think that is the very reason I just want to...
2 layers, Kama Sanya, Rupa Sanya. Kama Sanya means 5 hindrances related with the desire, hatred and kind of thing. And once you go on through it, again you calm down on the Rupa, and that Rupa ultimately goes off, and Rupa Sanya going to be another kind of agitation. But they are not heavily pregnant with hatred, heavily pregnant with desire. They are milder, but beyond your control, and no background, no orientation. They come bizarre, all the kind of thing. And there also you find that what the hell of a meditation I am doing? It is kind of everything beyond control. But still you can see you are mindful. So I will give 3 criterion to say, of course the thoughts are happening. It is no any agenda, no theme, not connected. They are not trained thoughts. They are not chain thoughts. No content, they are primordial form of the thoughts. And you can say that thought indicates you are living. That thought indicates you are not sleepy. The thought indicates you are not unconscious. So when you are in the sensuous pleasure, you are living, you are not sleepy, you are unconscious. When you are in the sense perception, you can see the perception indicates you are not living, you are living, you are not sleepy, you are not unconscious. And when the breath happens, you know that is the sign to indicate the breath. I am living, I am not dead, I am not unconscious. And it is all the kind of unrelated thoughts happen, you take that also as indication of a living being, and not sleepy, not unconscious. So that means throughout the mindfulness is there. What a beautiful journey. But a beautiful journey. So ultimately, the thoughts also, if you are going to be agitated with thoughts, thought will be proliferating. Prapanchakarana. So instead you see, yes, now the 4th stage, that is the Rupa Sanya, let that episode also go in there, that means non-reactional way, unassuming way, then the mindfulness is prepared to yet another stage, no Rupa Sanya, so complete lost no orientation. But then it is a heavy darkness, no signs of Kama Sanya, Rupa Sanya, but still you are dead, sure you are not dead. And still you are sure you are not unconscious. You are not sleepy. So you can understand how many different layers it is going. So throughout what you have to do is doing nothing. Just being. So ultimately it becomes like an art. It is not a science. Scientifically reaction happens, assuming happens, but it's an art. You learn it and no end. Going, leading to the deep layer so that mind from the peripheral level, it comes to the thick center. So more and more it becomes centralized. It is not a linear kind of centralization, it is a global or three-dimensional. When come to the center, the Buddha says always that the mind is bright, pure. More and more you go there, you understand the human mind. You are not understanding my own mind. Understand the human mind and you see, then it is not limited to the present time, it is time-wise it is spreading. Not limited to the present moment, it is called non-local reaction. Non-local action, you can be in different places in different times. The time and space won't be a limitation then only. Then you can understand the Buddha preached 2600 years ago without any language. The telepathy can happen. But that is not the destiny. Still it can be, go to the center. More and more you go there and you find it becomes heavily pregnant, potential, the huge amount of energy. And you can't claim it as me. It is a result of cause and effect relationship. It's a result of this training. And more you go there, as a one Catholic father, he used to say, we as commoners and the normal being, hardly find any spiritual experience. So we yearning for to get the spiritual experience as a human being. But at the end of the spiritual journey, you are with a complete spiritual being. Here and there you find human experience. That means mistakes. So whenever the mistakes happen, it indicates, I am a human. I am living. I am not dead. I am conscious. Mind you, that hilarious kick given only by mistakes, not with the good things. So ultimately you love mistakes because it is human. When everything perfect, you are no more human. You ask Japanese fellows, they say there should have a certain amount of lousiness, otherwise no go. But they are too perfect. Dead, gone. So this lousiness, mistakes, talk each other. You can easily sympathize others' mistakes because you know they are human. So how much the Buddha is human? He says, I am not Brahma, I am not Deva, I am not Yaka, I am human. Otherwise, how can he communicate with us? If he is going to live in the Brahma frame, we can't communicate. So his communication is a mistake of Buddha. And that is why at the beginning he thought not to communicate. It's a human error. To 45 years, he took pain. We respect. And soon after enlightenment, what is the task? What is the assignment? He is having finished. That is a mistake. He did a mistake, 45 years. That mistake only we face. Namo Buddhaṃ saranam gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saranam gacchāmi. The early Buddha, there were three, Sikhi, Vesabu, they never teach. They never teach. Those who come to the forest, they say, Sanicca Dukkhaṃ Anattaṃ. If you understand, understand. If you don't understand, don't understand. Finish. So each and every of a human error has a humor, has a communication. If you try to do away with that, you have to be a Japanese thing. Everything perfect, no life. So meditation, vipassana, have a huge balance between the karuna and panya, and the humor and the profundity. Otherwise this won't last. It's one generation time it will be finished. So therefore, excuse anything happen in the meditation. Don't try to discriminate this must not. That means you are trying to be a perfectionist or theoretical maximum. It is a crucifixion. It's a torturing. Only thing is, anything can happen, anything can be under the light of mindfulness. Nothing is unbearable. Nothing is unbearable. So then it appears like you are already enlightened. Many people find that if it is so, what is the use of discipline, what you have to do? But discipline is try not to do something. That is the discipline. Just sit, observe things as they are. Very difficult for one. You have to be very advanced to come up to that level. Till that you have to go to the linear system, do this after this is after this, and kind of thing. After, you have to learn how to be non-reactional, how to be unassuming. So that is the point where the rationality stops and this universality comes into being. So therefore, for your question, the path is correct. But the thing is, you make turmoils in the unturmoil flows. Turmoil means that you do something. But when and where you see the unturmoil, the smooth flow, don't disturb it. Try your best, let that be as long as possible. So you learn the art, Kaya Sankara, Vachi Sankara, Mano Sankara, you do away with it. Okay, now we have taken 10 minutes additional overtime. Hoping there are no more questions. We are going to sum up the question and answer session, and at 3 o'clock we are going to meet here for a sitting meditation. And I would like to introduce Aruna Manatunga. He came for a visit. I asked him to, why don't you stand up? He is the person keeping relationship and connection with the Dhamma and all the kind of thing. But nowadays he is in the waning side, disappearing slowly. Otherwise monthly he is coming, now he is becoming a big shot. So I thought of just introducing, this is the man called Aruna Manatunga. Okay, thank you Aruna. So we are summing up the situation. Thank you very much for the participation.